Let's see what happens. It's too early. Everyone thinks we need to do something.
I'm pressing on this because if you do get in the race and you spoil the election, would that factor into?
I've never been in any race I've ever spoiled. I've been in races to win, and if I get in a race, I'm going to win. In my state of West Virginia, 60% of the people that are retired right now live with Social Security and Medicare. To scare the bejesus out of them, thinking they're going to be their cuts on the line or you're going to decimate those two. That's not going to happen. Take that off the board right now and look at ways that we have wasteful spending that we can be held accountable and responsible.
Emboldens the far left, saying, "I showed you, how's that bipartisan working for you now, Joe?" Those are the hard things. That's where I need help, Dan.
It is time to speak up and basically make sure that we're held accountable and responsible. I can assure you, both the Democratic Party and the Republican Party have benefited greatly by the dark money. And everybody's talking about dark money. Greatly.
They're also talking about whether or not, specifically with money, should groups like No Labels have to be transparent about where that money's coming from?
I would think the Democratic Party and Republican Party should be transparent. They got $1.7 billion in the 2020 election. $1.5 billion for the Republicans. That's over $3 billion of dark money nobody knows anything about. Nobody knows anything about. So I can tell you, if you want to change Citizens United, it can only happen in Washington. Both parties are going to have to pass a legislation that basically outlaws Citizens United. I can speak and I can tell for No Labels that they would change Citizens United overnight if you could. But that only happens in Washington. So I'll be one vote. I would vote to overturn Citizens United and make it the law of the land that you cannot have dark money in politics.
He's patient zero of dark money. He's patient zero of corruption. No one gets bribed more than Joe Manchin. So, and then he comes out, he's so brazen. And he's, oh yeah, I'm against Citizens United in dark money. Then why don't you stop taking it?
Totally.
Okay, so no guys, the reason he is enabled and feels like he can lie to you that brazenly is because the mainstream media never, ever challenges him. And when they do, by the way, well, first of all, they don't. Like there was this one brief period where the New York Times was like, he actually takes some money from donors. And why did they do that? Because the other corporatist, Joe Biden, said, we are now opposed to Manchin for a minute and a half, right? And that's the only time they ever said anything at the New York Times. Oh, I'm sorry, take all the dark money, stuff it into your pockets. They say, oh, dark money, theoretically bad, but whenever they're voting on legislation, they're like, oh, that doesn't affect the legislation at all.
Totally.
Come on, you guys are jokes.
Let's take the trust funds, whether it's Medicare, Social Security, or Highway Trust. You can't let those go defunct as far as, and what we're saying is we have a trust act. And we would put different committees, bipartisan, bicameral committees together to look at each one of the trust and come up with solutions of how you fix it. We're not getting rid of anything, and you can't scare the bejesus out of people saying, we're going to get rid of Social Security, we're going to privatize. That's not going to happen. But we should be able to solidify it so the people that have worked and earned it know they're going to get it.
Right now, the wealthy don't pay the same percentage in Social Security tax as you do, okay? After a certain amount of income, they stop getting taxed for Social Security altogether. You know what you could do if you're really worried about funding the Social Security program? Lift that tax cap entirely. It only benefits the rich, and the rich are terrified of that happening, which is why the rich lobby politicians like Joe Manchin and members of the GOP to get the retirement age up even higher. Right now it's 67, they want it up to 70. That is a form of cutting Social Security. Don't let them lie to you.
I'm asking for, I need to go back, I need to find 3 more good Republican senators that'll vote for the commission so that at least we can tamp them down to what people said Republicans won't even do the simple lift. Common sense of basically voting to do a commission that was truly bipartisan. So once that people, and it just really.
It's not working out at all. It's not working out at all, which is why he's trying to get these billionaire donors to entice Roy Blunt with legalized bribery, okay, or possibly illegal bribery, which we'll get to in just a minute.
Okay, spoil it.
But exactly, but to basically convince him to vote in favor of the January 6th commission, not because Manchin thinks the January 6th commission is important. He might think it's important, but really the real purpose here is to pass legislation in the Senate through this filibuster, right? Like you don't have to throw the filibuster out. You can possibly get the 10 Republicans needed to vote yes on that legislation. And if they do, that's when Manchin gets to point to that piece of legislation that passes in the Senate and say, you see that? We can do things through bipartisanship, everybody.
Yeah.
I'm not wrong. And in reality, at the end of the day, his #1 goal is to protect money in politics.